Man, guys, have you been following this Ilia Topuria stuff in the lead up to Alexander Volkanovski's fight? Oh my god, this guy has been going nuts. He's been tracking a lot of attention. Don't get me wrong, his fights have been phenomenal. He is a phenomenal fighter himself, but he's putting himself in such a must-win situation. We're going to talk about that today. Before we do, though, I do want to say hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. Let's talk about Ilia Topuria. So, I honestly don't understand why he is going online right now and talking about, like, of course I'm paraphrasing, but he's talking about, like, Alexander Volkanovski is going to be his easiest fight. He's going to be a long-reigning champion. He's going to go and beat Sean O'Malley after that. He's going to knock out Conor McGregor in the first round. He is so jumping the gun on Alexander Volkanovski in general and talking like he has all these plans, which honestly, it's great that you have all these plans, but he's talking like this is going to happen as fact. He's talking as if Volkanovski's done. It's like he's already beat Volkanovski, to be honest with you. You're taking on one of the greatest fighters of all time, and I worry that, first of all, he is taking him lightly, but he's also, like I said, putting himself in such a situation where the pressure's got to be crazy. Like, I know that there's guys that can definitely deal with pressure, maybe some train harder, maybe some thrive off of it, but why? You already have your title shot. You already are fighting Alexander Volkanovski. Why do you have to take the extra step and say, like, oh yeah, this is going to be the easiest fight of my life. I'm going to walk through Volkanovski and then I'm going to get on to the next one. Like, you already have to fight. And it's different if you had a little bit of charm to it, if you were funny like Conor McGregor. You know, like Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo. I'm going to bounce his head off the canvas. You know, like he had some charisma to him. He was really funny about it. So that generated hype. I honestly don't see a ton of hype for this. The hype in general is just the matchup. Doesn't matter what Volkanovski's saying. Doesn't matter what Ilia Topuria is saying. There is kind of beef between them. Like, Ilia Topuria already thinks Alexander Volkanovski is a dead man walking. And Alexander Volkanovski has been talking about how he needs to teach this guy a lesson. There is a little bit of beef there. And it is kind of personal, right? But that's not why we're excited for it. That's not why you're excited for it. Not why I'm excited for it. It's the matchup. It's the matchup. I want to see how Alexander Volkanovski comes back after that knockout loss to Islam Makhachev, because what is he, like 35 years old now? And I want to see Ilia Topuria to see if he can continue the path of domination that he's been on. Because I was of the opinion that Yair Rodriguez was 100% the toughest challenge in the entire featherweight division for Alexander Volkanovski. Now I'm not so sure after watching the beatdowns that Ilia Topuria has been putting on people. So what is selling this fight is just the matchup in general. We could care less about the beef between these two, but again, this leads me to believe, is Ilia Topuria just trying? Because then you could argue like, oh, you know what? It can't hurt to try. At least he's trying to make a name for himself. At least he's trying to have a social media presence. And it's working to an extent, but like, I don't think he's getting nearly as enough attention where it kind of has a good payoff for what he's doing. Because if Ilia Topuria loses against Alexander Volkanovski, let alone loses dominantly like Alexander Volkanovski has done to the rest of the featherweight division, he's going to forever be the laughing stock of the UFC. He is going to have nothing but cut up moments, interviews, tweets. Everybody is going to make fun of Ilia Topuria from this point on if he loses, even just loses, because of all the smack that he talked. Walking around like he's the greatest fighter on the planet, and you know what? He might be. I just don't get why he's putting himself in this situation right now. Again, like I said, it could be just to motivate himself. That's really the only thing that I could really think of, to be honest with you, because this is honestly like a kind of a make or break for his career. Because even if Ilia Topuria comes back after Alexander Volkanovski's done, he becomes champion, beats another top contender, beats a Yair Rodriguez, beats a Brian Ortega for an interim belt, or a vacated belt for Alexander Volkanovski when he's done. No matter what, he's always going to be looked at as the guy who lost Alexander Volkanovski. But if he wasn't talking all this smack, if he was just continuing this path of destruction that he's been on, and he did that to Alexander Volkanovski, everybody would be talking about him like he's the greatest fighter on the planet. But, I mean, people still would do that if he won. But, I mean, like, he could at least excuse a loss there. It's really, really tough. So, he's putting himself in a very, very tricky situation. And he's putting himself in a very must-win situation. And I don't know if that's a good idea. But I'd love to know what you guys think about it down below. Thank you so much for watching the video, everybody. On the screen right now, I reacted to a video from Chael Sonnen about John Jones and Daniel Cormier. It was a very interesting video. Check it out. Thank you so much for coming. Take care.